Daymond John wrote a book about finance, and it's called Little Damon Learns to Earn. I guess he's the little Damon, it's the little version of him, the younger Daymond John. And so I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about that because it's Financial Awareness Month or financial literacy, whichever one you want to call it. And I think, first of all, I want to talk about the fact that this book is out. The second, I want to talk about what it means to the financial therapy and the financial literacy conversation. But I also want to talk about the mistakes that parents make when teaching their kids about money, because I don't know if Damon addressed them in this book. I'm going to buy the book today, and then I'm going to go even deeper. But my first conversation is what I just told you. I want to talk about that the book is out and what it means to the financial therapy and financial literacy conversation. I even want to talk a little bit about my thoughts about Daymond John being the person to continue this conversation, because he said he started the conversation, but that's weird. Damon, we're gonna talk about that in just a second. If you're here live, because I know David is on LinkedIn, so you could be watching this live or you could be watching this recording, but let's talk about this. All right. First of all, just in case you don't know me, let me just welcome you to More Than Therapy. And I am Kanae Quarter, National Certified Counselor. Let me rephrase that. I am Kanae Quarter, the world's number one National Certified Counselor, specializing in financial therapy. And I help private practice, and that's financial advisors and therapists, use financial therapy in their existing approach. All right, now you know who I am. Let's really get down to this conversation because it is so good. It's Financial Literacy Month, and Daymond John releases his book during Financial Literacy Month. Now, what I will say is Daymond John is a marketing genius, but we already know that. So releasing during Financial Literacy Month is brilliant, sort of. It's brilliant if you aren't already a marketing genius. If you're a marketing genius, it's expected. So I'm like, of course, Daymond John released his financial literacy book in Financial Literacy Month, right? Absolutely. When else would he deliver it? This is the perfect time. And since we're open to having this conversation, let's have this conversation more amongst each other. Now, this book is a children's book. And so the idea is that parents read this book to their children if they're not reading age yet. I think it said 3 to 5 years old is who the book is for, which is amazing. And I'll tell you why in just a second, why 3 to 5 is the absolute best time for this book to be getting in the minds of these children. So this book is for children to be read to. So parents read the book to the child. Awesome, amazing, because 3 to 5 is the best time. And I mean, 0 to 5, let's just go with that, because you can start reading this book even before 3. And the reason why I said I'll tell you in a minute, but I can't hold it in. So the reason why it's important is because 0 is when they are observing. As soon as they come out, before you start counting birthdays, they just days old, they're already observing you. You think they're not, but they are. And so by the time they're 1, they really have some idea of what money and purchasing is. You don't know that, but they do. By the time they're 3 years old, they have almost solidified what they believe. It's a good like 60% of what they think money is. They have heard you argue about money. They have heard you say, we can't afford it. They have heard you, or you say like, oh, money's no object. We got plenty of money. So they already have instilled in them, plus whatever that mother was feeling while she was pregnant, when it was as it associates to money. Whatever that father was saying, and while that baby was in the womb, that was all getting imprinted into this child, believe it or not. And I know it's hard to believe, but you got to believe me. Just do it. Just believe me on this. And you can start living life knowing that whatever age your child is, whether 0 or grown, their money beliefs got imprinted in them between 0 and 5 years old, at least 80%, 85. There are some that say almost as much as 90% of what we believe, not just about money, but I'm a financial therapist, so that's what I'm talking about, is instilled by age 5. 7 at the very latest. So if your child is 7 years old and you're buying this book for them, know that you're going to have to do a lot of time and repetition. You're not just reading this book once. You have to do a lot of time and repetition to get this book to really imprint and pass what they've already known or instilled in themselves. So this is important. Now, let's talk about the fact that Daymond John wrote this book. So I listened to a podcast, and Daymond said that his legacy is to he will be known as the person who started this conversation. Now, Jamin is from New York, I believe. And so that is a very New York state of mind. So I know he truly believes that he started the conversation. But we've been celebrating financial therapy, a financial awareness month, or financial literacy month for 20 years. The Financial Therapy Association started in 2008. I personally became a financial therapist in 2015. So this conversation has been going on for a long time. What Daymond is doing is continuing the conversation. Now, what I will say is that a lot of this conversation has been happening on the nonprofit circuit, not necessarily on the profit side. Now, there are, if you go on Amazon and you look for financial books, you will find financial books by people who are just authors and want to practice. I mean, this is business for them, not a nonprofit. But there are plenty of nonprofits, like John Hope Bryant. I don't remember when he started Operation Hope, but I was working at Operation Hope as a volunteer before I even became a financial therapist. When I was a financial advisor with Morgan Stanley, I volunteered at Operation Hope. Even Junior Achievement had this conversation. They have an amazing program. And I volunteered at that program when I was at Morgan Stanley. And so Daymond John is absolutely continuing this conversation. And I am so glad somebody like Daymond has decided to do this, because we have a hard time receiving information from somebody who's not already a celebrity, which freaking sucks. But it is what it is. Human beings like to get their information from somebody they already trust. And it just so happens that they rather trust a celebrity than a financial therapist or a financial advisor or a therapist. I don't know why that is. I don't study that part of human beings. I do study human behavior, but the human behavior I study is mostly associated with money and trauma. Those are the two things that I study. Now, why human beings want to get their information from a celebrity, I'm not sure. But the fact that they do still remains. And so thankfully, Daymond decided to make this book. So now people are more likely to talk about it. Now, Kevin Hart has been talking about financial literacy for a few years now, too, with Chase. But for some reason, I don't know, Daymond John does have a way of getting the public to listen to him. And although a lot of fans of Kevin Hart probably know that he does this work, it's not getting past his fans. But because Daymond John crosses over, he may do a better job at getting this conversation out to more of the masses. So I wanted to share that with you, one, because if you are the person who is now going to decide to start teaching your children about money because Daymond asked you to, I'm saying go right ahead. Absolutely do it, but don't stop there. Now that you're open to it, now that Daymond opened you to this conversation, keep going, because I'm buying the book today and I'm going to report back on Monday what my findings were. What I'll then discuss on Monday is what's missing from the book, because I am assuming that because I know that Daymond is not a financial therapist, that there are going to be some things missing from the book. So I'm going to be reading the book to see what else I can add so that you guys have everything you need, what Daymond gave you, plus some financial therapy, so you can take this out and talk about it. Financial advisors, you should be sharing this book with your clients so that they can share it with their children. Because let me tell you this story. And then I'm going to tell you the 3 mistakes that parents make when it comes to teaching their children about money. But for all my life, I knew that I was going to be doing business with 2 companies from the time I was a little kid. New York Life and Allstate. Why? Because our New York Life representative called my grandmother, I don't know how often, but very often. And we knew his name, Leo Wolfson. I still remember his name to this day. Now, the Allstate agent, I have forgotten his name, but every time my grandmother and my grandfather did not use anybody else the whole time they were alive for their Allstate agent. He was their Allstate agent forever. But that was my introduction to finance, was my Allstate agent and my New York Life agent. That's when we talked about money. We talked about life insurance in my household. And my grandmother told me the power of life insurance because for many people, generational wealth is going to get passed down through life insurance. That is how my kids are going to get rich. Well, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But that is one of the ways. Like that is my plan B. If I'm not able to get them to, while I'm still alive, to wealth, then I will absolutely do it in death because I have set that up. My estate is set up so that they receive wealth. But I'm teaching them now so that when they do receive that money, they're not going to squander it. And there'll be some instruments in place to make sure that doesn't happen. But that's a whole nother story. We're not talking about estate planning as much as we're talking about what do we do right now in order to make sure that our children are set up for wealth and passing down that generational wealth. You first, one of the generations has to have wealth in order to pass it down. So this book that Daymond John wrote is to make sure that this next generation, for him, it's his children. For me, it would likely be for my grandchildren. My children are quite old. But by saying that, it means I'm saying I'm old. Okay, let's rephrase that. My children are mature. And so this is information I'm now passing down to my grandchildren, but this is my legacy. This is the work that I do. This is my life's work. Financial therapy is what most people know me as. If they know Kanae, they know I'm a financial therapist, or they may say financial hypnotherapist because my process uses talk therapy, financial therapy, and hypnotherapy and blends them all together to create the self-sync financial therapy that I am known for. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the 3 mistakes parents make when it comes to teaching their children about money. Now, I'm going to go through them quickly. Why? Because this video has already been, or this live has already been about 12 minutes. And I just want to give you 4 or 5 more minutes. And so give me 4 or 5 more minutes of your time. And I'm going to go through this and just make sure you're not making these mistakes. And if you are, then let's talk about some resources. Ask me some questions in the comments, and then I'll tell you some resources. Daymond John's book might be one of them, but I'll give you some other resources that you can use so that this is not happening. But I need to know what mistakes you're making when I tell you the top 3. These are the top 3 that I see, but I also need to know what questions you have, okay? So let's talk about them. Number 1, waiting too long. Remember at the beginning of this video, and if you weren't here yet, go back and listen to it. So at the beginning of this video, I said that money beliefs get instilled between 0 and 5 years old, at the latest 7. So if you're not reading, well, not just reading, but if you're not instilling money beliefs into your children before age 5, then if you're not purposely, intentionally doing that, then they're getting it through observation. And even though we're really good observers at that age, we are not good interpreters, but they are making some interpretations. So if you're not intentional about what you're teaching them, then they're going to have their own money beliefs, which are probably going to be very similar to your money beliefs, which is number 2. You inadvertently, of course, pass down old beliefs like it's better to give than to receive. The love of money is the root of all evil. It's you got to work hard for money. Those kind of statements. Which ones did you hear? Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford it. All of these statements, all of these programs get lodged in our brains, and we live life that way. So if you inadvertently pass down these messages to your kids, then you're not going to have generational wealth. You're going to have generational broke or generational poverty. And a lot of people aren't impoverished. They just are spending more than they make, which is why I call this month Financial Awareness Month, not financial literacy, because you probably have some idea with what money is. Now, what I'm guessing that Daymond left out of the book is what I call the money cycle. And this book is called Daymond Learns to Earn, but earn is only the first part of the money cycle. You also have grow, protect, gift, and enjoy your money. Oh, yeah. Some of you are not enjoying your money, or some of you are going straight from earning it to enjoying it, and you didn't protect it, you didn't grow it, and you didn't gift it. So we need to talk about that. Some of the things that I talk about in my program. Now, I will tell you, my program is specifically for financial advisors and for mental health professionals. I am changing the way mental health is viewed and administered while alleviating human suffering associated with money. And the way that I do that is by pouring everything I know about financial therapy into these two industries. And I'm talking all about this in my community. So if you are a financial advisor or a mental health professional, you can join my community. And when you join my community, I'm going to give you the third one in just a second. But when you join my community, you get 8 weeks of financial therapy for free. Now, you don't ever have to upgrade and do anything else with me. You can stay in the free community as long as you like. Have at it. Just enjoy it. Soak it up. But if you feel like you want to add financial therapy to your practice, I can show you how to do that. And you can either get into the paid group and you can do it on the group level, or you can hire me as a consultant to come into your business and teach you how to put financial therapy into your existing approach. You don't have to change anything. I'm going to show you exactly how to put it into your existing approach. All right, so let's go back to, and if I didn't say it, you can get to my group by going to www.presidentiallifestyle.com. Yes, you do have to put that www there. And I will put a link I forgot to put a link in the comments, but I will put a link in the comments so you can click there. But if you are going now, you really, 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 really want to go right now, you're going to put www.presidentiallifestyle.com into the internets, wherever that is. You know what I'm saying? So number 3. So I was saying number 2 was passing. Number 1 was, let me just recap real quick. So waiting too long to talk about money. Number 2 was pass down old beliefs. And number 3 is don't practice what you preach. So you're passing down these old beliefs, right? But then you're telling your children, oh, you need to save, but then you're not saving. You're telling your children, oh, don't spend, all your money all at once, but you're overspending. You're telling them you're telling them to start a business, but you have a job. Or maybe you're telling them to get a job. You got to get a job. You got to get a job. Get a good job. But you're not happy at your job. You actually look miserable. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want that. So they are going to look at your actions, not your words. So if you're not practicing what you preach, then you are not going to be able to pass down the great money habits or the intentions that you want this generational wealth to happen in your family. And this generational wealth has to happen by pouring into the generation before. If this generation right now of adults, if you don't have wealth already, yes, you can get it. Absolutely. If your habits are not wealthy habits, yes, you can get them. Absolutely. But your focus needs to be on putting the next generation in the position to have wealth quickly. The faster you have wealth, the more wealth you will have. And I know people are going to say, oh, but you can get rich slow. Absolutely, you can. And it's a great way to get rich. However, getting rich fast is even better. So you just got to be able to handle the get rich fast. And then you also have to be able to parlay that get rich fast into a get rich slow situation. All right. That's about all I'm going to say about that. But I think you know what I'm saying, because it's time for me to wrap this up. 1 more minute of your time. Thank you for being here. So I already told you 3 mistakes that parents make is waiting too long, passing down old beliefs, and not practicing what they preach. I already told you that Daymond John has a book called Little Daymond Learns to Earn, and I'm buying the book today. I'm going to come back on Monday and report my findings. But I want you to, if you want to look at Daymond's LinkedIn, I don't have his YouTube, but if you want to look at that, I put a link in the LinkedIn description. If you're watching this video on LinkedIn, go ahead and check it out. If you don't follow me, on YouTube or on LinkedIn, then do that now. Subscribe, because I, one, am going to continue this conversation, because now Daymond might get upset with me about saying this, but Daymond will move on to the next thing. But there are financial therapists whose this is their life work. And yes, we are thankful that Daymond is taking this conversation and making it popular, but Daymond did not start this conversation. And this conversation does not end with Daymond John. In fact, I have spoken on stages with Daymond John. One in particular in 2019 was the Global Wealth Summit. So I was having this conversation before Daymond, and I'm going to continue to have this conversation when Daymond moves on to his next, even if it's a business venture, or for him, it sounds like this is the meaning. And many of you who follow me, who've been following me for a long time, you know that I typically say meaning over money. And for some people, this is what takes you a long time to get rich, is because you are putting meaning over money. And right now, that sounds like where Daymond John is. For him, this is a meaningful project, but he still might move on. And we got to continue this conversation with or without Daymond John. Make sense? You hear me? Good. All right. So same thing is true. As I said earlier, if you are a financial advisor or a mental health professional and you want to learn how to implement financial therapy into your existing approach, go ahead and join my community. You will get 8 weeks of free financial therapy. And of course, I said, stay there as long as you like. If you never ever upgrade, that is fine. But if you say, hey, I really do want to know how to add this to my existing approach, then you will upgrade and you'll join my group. And if you and your whole team, like if you're like, hey, my whole company wants to learn this, then you can retain me as a consultant, and I will show you and your whole team, even your whole company, how to add financial therapy to your approach. How does that sound? Does that sound good or good? I know, right? So I will see you on Monday. I might go live tomorrow, depending. I'm not going live on Sunday. I'm gonna rest. But Monday, I will see you, because we are going to be talking about financial therapy every single day this month, except Sunday, because it is an important conversation. And I know that money is the number one cause of stress. And if I can help you alleviate your suffering associated with money, then my life has been meaningful. And like I said, meaning over money. You with me? Good. I'll see you sooner.